This is the bummer. This is a report by the Gamer.
You're just ripping the Band-Aid.
PS3, Vita, and PSP stores to be permanently closed in a few months. Now, let's kind of go through here and check out what they're saying. Um, According to a source familiar with the situation verified by the Gamer, the stores are due to be closed down from July. The announcement is planned for the end of this month. So this was published on 5 days ago. So that would mean that the announcement is like gonna be
Impending.
yeah, it's gonna be in a few days. According to this. Now, this says PSPs and PS3 stores are to be closed on July 2nd, while the PS Vita store will stay open until August 7. After those dates, you will no longer be able to purchase digital copies of games or DLC for any of the Sony consoles mentioned above. The so yeah, and then it just goes in here to talk about some stuff. So, all right, this is a big issue, and a lot of people were kind of thrown off by this because lately Sony's been doing a lot of good things, and but now you have the closing of Japan studio, and now you have the potential closing of PSP, PS Vita, and PS3 stores. And yeah, so I mean, what's your initial thought on this?
Bummer.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. I do use the store actually semi-frequently, not as frequently, obviously, because of the lack of games that are coming out. But I did just a couple of weeks ago get Mystic Chronicles for the PSP off of the PS3 store, and the PS Vita, like I only have a 32 gigabyte memory card drive for it, so some of
Hmm.
the games are saved on my PS3, so I can kind of like go back and forth.
Yeah.
Um, I need to buy a bigger memory card. This is what this tells me to do,
Yes.
and back up a lot of things. I mean, that's the legal route, and I understand that people are introduced to the illegal route as well. But I am currently not a proponent of that.
Yeah.
So speaking specifically legally, this does suck. And for a person that owns a lot of physical hard software, physical,
Yeah.
yeah, physical games, and the access to DLC, to any kind of patches,
Hmm.
if that's all going to be erased.
Yes. So this comes back to the whole concept of, and I know we've talked about this before. You know, a publisher, developers. I know developers, they hold on to their code pretty tightly, right?
It depends. I mean,
Yeah.
look look at Square Enix and the fact that they needed to like remake Final Fantasy VIII, the old one, because they lost all the code. What happens is that developers back in the day for their older games, at least for Square Enix in this example, would dump everything to make room for the next project.
I see. So it was a storage
Yes.
issue for them. Okay. Well, now here's the one topic of debate. Like, do you believe that these companies, they're profit driven, right?
Yes.
But do you think there's an argument to be made that they should also be stewards of gaming history as well? Because they have the keys to the project. So if they're not taking care of it, it's up to like fans and gamers to chronicle and catalog all this stuff, which I know there's
That's why
people
you
out
have
there.
that's why you have emulation. That's
Yeah.
why you have all these
Yes.
third party avenues
Yes.
of accessing these kinds of games. So whether they
Yeah.
be through repros, which I have purchased my own kind of repros,
Hmm.
um, or through mods and emulators online.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, I agree. that I think that developers should be stewards of their projects and make them accessible to
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
But but and this is just me kind of thinking out loud. Uh, we've seen the viability of the resurgence of games in terms of, like, with a shiny new coat of paint. Look at the recent release of Panzer Dragoon,
Hmm.
for an example, or maybe Grandia HD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Those are good
Final
examples.
Fantasy VIII, which I just suggested. I think Square Enix has been fantastic stewards, at least in terms of revitalizing their games for current gen systems.
Hmm.
I don't know if they're the best at the way they're porting them, and examples like Final Fantasy VI and how terrible it looked versus the Super Nintendo version, Final Fantasy III, Final Fantasy VI, or
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger, and that they needed to actually like redo a lot of things so that it didn't look as bad as it
Hmm.
did, or work as bad as it did. But
Yeah.
they've been really good stewards at bringing back a lot of their older titles
Yes.
to newer generation consoles,
Hmm.
or to current generation consoles. And so the thing is that there's kind of been a shift. We had the eShops for like Nintendo Wii and the PS3 and stuff like that, but I think maybe developers are seeing that cash in terms of, wait, I could rebundle it my way and then resell it in a different method,
Yeah.
rather than giving Sony or Nintendo or Xbox access to all their old games, and then that cuts whatever new stuff that they can bring out. Nintendo does this all the time with the Switch. Every kind of rebundling of a Wii U game,
Hmm.
they erase it completely from the Wii U eShop.
Yes.
And that's just a more modern way of that type of thinking.
Yeah.
So I think that developers want ownership of their titles more, rather than letting the console makers, the console owners, to make those decisions for them, and like have like access to all their old titles. They maybe they want to keep it under lock and key and decide how it's distributed.
Yes.
That's just an idea.
Yeah. Um, no, I like the direction you're headed. Because no one's gonna show more love to the title than the people who built it with their minds and their hands.
For the most part, I
Yeah.
mean, look at Warcraft Reforged, Warcraft 3
Yeah,
Reforged.
but in those cases, it's like it. You know what? It's hard to say because who knows how many people even exist at that studio even more that worked on the original.
Yeah.
Um,
But people are excited for Diablo 2.
yeah, people are excited for Diablo 2.
And then StarCraft 2 was also remade.
Or StarCraft 1. StarCraft 1.
StarCraft 1, pardon. Sorry.
Yeah, and they actually did a good job with that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I would like to see developers kind of take control more than allowing publishers to do stuff like this. Um, and then, of course, I you and me only really have good things to say about all the people who spend their like free time archiving these games and keeping them alive.
Definitely.
So yeah, shout out to all the people out there who like the I believe it's the Game History Foundation or something like that.
Mm.
They catalog like magazines and cartridges and all the different consoles and stuff like that. And then there's like a guy I saw like a video on him. He it was on My Life in Gaming. He's the one who takes all the open source images of games and consoles and everything.
Yeah, those guys are the best.
Yes.
Try and Quarry.
Yeah. So yeah, all the people working on that, like, just keep doing it because it's good work. And you and me collecting, we're doing it in our own way as well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's preservation.
It's preservation.
And honestly, uh, I wish, like you were pretty much insinuating, that developers would take it a little bit more seriously
Yes.
and allow access to their history, their library of games. I mean, it's one of the reasons that you and I are currently suffering,
Yeah.
and any other kind of game collector, through this market. All these games in their physical iterations are blown out of proportion in terms of their value because they're inaccessible.
Yeah, because they keep cutting them from the stores, the
Well,
online digital
some of them
stores.
aren't even available
Yeah.
via the
Yeah.
stores, and they're lost to history.
Yeah.
Aside from, like I said, more questionable means.
Yeah. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a external hard drive for my PS3, and I'm just gonna go on there and get everything I want now, in
Well,
case this
no,
happens.
I do want to do the same. I
Yeah.
honestly am thinking about the same. Actually, I had pretty much all my games on my 500 gigabyte PS3,
Hmm.
but it wasn't until I'd say 3 or 4 years ago during my annual Demon Souls run,
Hmm.
um, something hard crashed and it wiped everything on there. Like
Damn.
I needed to wipe everything off of there. So I need to figure out if that was a hard drive problem or not. But I do want to get a new hard drive and do the same thing that you're saying, even
Yeah.
though the PS3 internet connection is Bobo and it takes
Yes.
forever to download everything.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be days in
Yeah.
order to download all that stuff. But that actually raises another question: is what about games that were acquired via the PSN, like free games, the ones that because I have plenty of them where I have access to them. Um, I wonder how they're doing that.
I would say
They're just gonna take
if
them off.
yeah, I think so.
It
It
sucks.
sucks, man. So yeah, my advice to everyone out there would be to get, if you have a portable, get like a 256 gig SD card or something and download everything and then make a backup of it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And if you have a PS3, get a big external hard drive and just download everything to it and make a backup of it. And then that way, if your PS3 crashes, you have that hard drive. You can just plug it up to. You can buy a new used PS3 and just hook it up. Because yeah, this if this is true, the stores are going to be gone, and the only way you would be able to work around it is if people made like a homebrew app that could work on your PS3. But those are very costly. They're hard to set up. A lot of them require like soldering and tampering with the original board inside of it. So it's not easy. It's not easy, and it's usually expensive unless you know what you're doing. So yeah, just prepare. That's all. I mean, that's my advice to everyone. Just prepare, because if this is true, you're gonna wish you had downloaded and backed up all your games before this
correct.
happens. So, but it just sucks that we had to hear from a rumor, if this is true, that they wouldn't come out and tell us in advance. You know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
they're going to be telling us in advance. It's just not as in advance as the rumor was leaked.
yeah, I mean, it's just, but it just sucks to hear it from a rumor if it's true. I mean, I
Fair.
hope it's not true. I hope. Let's hope it's not true. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's.
that begs the question, like going forward, and maybe I'm not going to live long enough for this to happen,
Yeah.
but like, what if the PlayStation Network is redone in such a way that it no longer aligns with past generation consoles that rely on the network to function in some way, shape, or form? And an example is the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4, like, if you're not connected to the internet, it's always like, you need to be connected to the internet.
Yes.
We need, if you want to play this game, you need to be connected to the internet. And I'm like,
Yes.
calm down.
Yeah. Um. So it's gonna be. This is what I always tell people. Yeah, it might not be in our lifetime,
Yeah.
but at some time in history, they're gonna someone's gonna unearth a PlayStation, and they're gonna be like, "What is this?" And they're gonna have a hell of a time trying to find the
Any
data
method of
for it.
connecting it.
Yeah,
It's
connect.
like RG, what?
So yeah, at some point it's gonna happen. It's probably not gonna happen in our lifetimes though, and
Yeah.
every
That,
time there's an
that's
advance.
one small comfort.
Yeah. Like for example, the next time there's an advance in video input and output, when we leave HDMI, someone's going to make an adapter for HDMI to that. You know what I mean? Just like we have an adapter.
Fair.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, we already have HDMI 2.1 cables.
yes. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I see it happening.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's the main story for this week. I hope it's not true, but if it is, I'm just going to start I'm going to order a hard drive and start backing up my stuff. So, I would suggest you do the same if you have a like a older PlayStation 3 or
Yeah.
yeah.